Have you ever felt profoundly drawn to someone, yet the circumstances made being together impossible? Perhaps you're wrestling with the confusion, the pain, wondering why the universe would bring someone so significant into your path only for the connection to feel unresolved or even unattainable. It can leave you feeling lost, conflicted within yourself, like a piece of your heart is missing or misunderstanding some fundamental truth about love and destiny. What if this experience isn't a cruel twist of fate, but a crucial turning point orchestrated by forces deeper than your everyday awareness? Our everyday perspective, governed by the ego, often struggles to make sense of these complex emotional landscapes. This is where the profound insights of Carl Jung become invaluable. He understood that life's most significant encounters, especially the challenging ones, are often guided by a deeper wisdom residing in the unconscious. Join me as we explore through a Jungian lens why these difficult connections arrive and what they truly mean for your journey towards becoming the full expression of yourself. This exploration promises not just answers, but a path to transform confusion into profound self-awareness. Jung taught us that our psyche is a complex interplay of conscious and unconscious elements. Within the unconscious lie powerful archetypes, universal patterns of energy that shape our experiences and relationships. Sometimes a connection isn't about a lasting relationship in the conventional sense, but about activating parts of ourselves that have been dormant, perhaps aspects of the shadow that need integration, or a call towards our unique path of individuation. These individuals can act as mirrors, reflecting back forgotten aspects of our persona or triggering deep questions about our identity. Jung's concept of synchronicity suggests that these meaningful coincidences, these inexplicable connections, aren't random, but are purposeful alignments between our inner world and the external reality. They are symbols guiding us towards necessary growth. The dreams we have about them, the recurring images, all serve as symbols from the unconscious, urging us to pay attention, to understand the deeper meaning beyond the surface pain. Growth rarely occurs without challenge. The discomfort of these connections forces us to confront hidden needs, fears, and wounds, driving us inward. This is the alchemy of the soul Jung spoke of, a transformation catalyzed by friction. The other person becomes a messenger, a catalyst, pushing us beyond the confines of our current ego structure towards a more complete self. Sometimes holding on to a connection prevents us from evolving. The act of letting go, though painful, is an act of profound self-love and a necessary step in our personal evolution. The true task isn't about keeping the other person, but integrating what they awakened within you. The pain transforms into gratitude for the awakening. What begins as a connection with another culminates in a powerful reunion with yourself. Understanding these dynamics through Carl Jung's wisdom helps us see that these difficult connections serve a higher purpose in our individuation journey. They are not obstacles, but stepping stones towards the wholeness of the self. The pain teaches, the confusion guides, and the letting go liberates. Remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. What insights did this bring you about your own difficult connections? Share your thoughts below. And if you're a deep thinker seeking profound psychological insights, subscribe and hit the notification bell to join this journey into the depths of the psyche. Remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. Meaning, beyond the surface pain. Growth rarely occurs without challenge. The discomfort of these connections forces us to confront hidden needs, fears, and wounds, driving us inward. This is the alchemy of the soul Jung spoke of, a transformation catalyzed by friction. The other person becomes a messenger, a catalyst, pushing us beyond the confines of our current ego structure towards a more complete self. Sometimes, holding on to a connection prevents us from evolving. The act of letting go, though painful, is an act of profound self-love and a necessary step in our personal evolution. The true task isn't about keeping the other person, but integrating what they awakened within you. The pain transforms into gratitude for the awakening. What begins as a connection with another culminates in a powerful reunion with yourself. Understanding these dynamics through Carl Jung's wisdom helps us see that these difficult connections serve a higher purpose in our individuation journey. They are not obstacles, but stepping stones towards the wholeness of the self. The pain teaches, the confusion guides, and the letting go liberates. Remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. What insights did this bring you about your own difficult connections? Share your thoughts below. And if you're a deep thinker seeking profound psychological insights, Subscribe and hit the notification bell to join this journey into the depths of the psyche. Remember, you are not broken, you are becoming. This process of becoming, of integrating the lessons learned from painful connections, often involves venturing into the territory of the unconscious. Carl Jung taught that our interactions, especially the challenging ones, can stir up buried aspects of our psyche. They bring to the surface parts of our shadow, those disowned or unacknowledged aspects of ourselves. It's uncomfortable, yes, because the shadow holds what our ego finds unacceptable. But shining a light on these parts is crucial for growth. These relationships act like mirrors, reflecting back to us what we need to see for our individuation journey. They show us the places where our persona might be too rigid, or where our sense of self is still fragile, overly reliant on external validation. Sometimes, the timing of these difficult connections, or the insights that arise from them, feel deeply meaningful, like instances of synchronicity guiding us towards necessary awareness. Insights might also appear not just through direct confrontation, but also through our dreams. The symbols that appear in our dreams can offer profound guidance, showing us the archetypes at play in our relationships and revealing the hidden currents of the unconscious mind that these difficult connections have activated. Recognizing these patterns, these symbols, is a step closer to understanding the deeper meaning Carl Jung spoke of in the journey towards wholeness and the realization of the self. It's a continuous unveiling, challenging the old ego boundaries and inviting a more authentic expression of who we are truly meant to be. This more authentic expression doesn't come easily. It often requires us to bravely examine the parts of ourselves we've kept hidden, the shadow aspects that challenging relationships inevitably provoke. It's a confrontation with the unconscious, a necessary part of the individuation process. Carl Jung emphasized that this journey is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming whole, integrating the disparate pieces of our psyche. Our connections with others are powerful catalysts for this integration. They challenge the comfortable boundaries of our ego, forcing us to see beyond the persona we've constructed for the world. When someone mirrors back to us an uncomfortable truth about our shadow, it's a difficult but invaluable gift on the path towards the self. These interactions peel back layers, revealing the archetypes that might be driving our patterns of behavior and attraction. Are we living out a rescuer archetype, or perhaps the wounded healer? Understanding these underlying universal patterns, which Carl Jung identified as residing in the collective unconscious, helps us gain perspective on why certain relationship dynamics keep repeating in our lives. Sometimes, insights into these archetypal patterns or our own shadow come through synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence where an external event aligns perfectly with an inner realization, often related to a relationship struggle, or the guidance might arrive in the rich landscape of our dreams. The symbols presented in dreams related to a difficult connection can be incredibly potent, offering clues to the unconscious forces at play and the archetypes influencing the situation. Deciphering these symbols helps the ego understand what the deeper self is trying to communicate about the necessary steps for growth and healing. It's about recognizing that the external relationship is also an internal landscape, reflecting aspects of our own shadow or a call towards a more integrated self. This constant interplay between our inner world and our outer connections is central to the Jungian perspective. It highlights how relationships, even the painful ones, are not random occurrences but significant events loaded with symbolic meaning, guiding us towards individuation. They push the ego to expand its understanding and integrate the vast contents of the unconscious. Each challenge in connection is an invitation to drop the rigid persona a little more, to embrace the uncomfortable shadow, and to step more fully into the potential of the self. It's a continuous process of learning to hold the tension of opposites within ourselves, a key part of the journey Carl Jung described. When we can see our relationships through this lens, recognizing the archetypes, the shadow work, the potential for synchronicity, and the wisdom from dreams and symbols, they transform from mere interactions into profound initiations. They become pathways to understand not just the other person, but the depths of our own unconscious mind and its connection to the collective. This expanded awareness challenges our ego's limited view and opens us up to a richer, more authentic way of being, aligning us more closely with the inherent wisdom of the self. It's a humbling process, requiring courage to look within when external relationships feel challenging. It reminds us that the work begins internally, and our connections serve as powerful mirrors for that inner state. The persona we project is constantly being tested, revealing cracks where the shadow is trying to emerge, or where the self is yearning for expression. Understanding these dynamics, thanks to the insights of Carl Jung, allows us to navigate these waters with greater compassion, both for ourselves and for others. We start to see the difficult person not just as a source of pain, but as a catalyst for our own growth, a key player in the unfolding drama of our individuation. It's a recognition that the challenges are not happening to us, but for us, providing the friction needed to polish the gem of the self. This perspective shift is transformative. It moves us beyond blame and into curiosity about what the relationship is revealing about our own unconscious patterns and archetypes. We begin to pay attention to the symbols that arise around these connections, whether in dreams or waking life, seeking their deeper meaning. This is the essence of the analytical psychology Carl Jung developed, seeing the soul's journey reflected in the fabric of our lives, especially in the complex tapestry of human relationships. The struggle to connect authentically, while integrating the shadow and moving beyond the confines of the persona, is the very stuff of individuation. It's a lifelong process of becoming more conscious, allowing the ego to serve the larger purpose of the self. Sometimes, a moment of difficult confrontation might be followed by a striking synchronicity, confirming that we are on the right path or highlighting a hidden truth from the unconscious. These moments feel deeply significant, guiding us towards greater wholeness. They underscore Carl Jung's view that life is not just a series of random events, but a meaningful journey filled with symbols and connections that are all working towards the realization of the self. It's an ongoing dialogue between the conscious ego and the vast, mysterious unconscious, facilitated and often provoked by the people we encounter. Recognizing the archetypes at play in these interactions gives us a framework for understanding the deeper psychological forces at work. Instead of getting lost in the personal drama, we can see the universal patterns manifesting. This detachment allows for insight and the possibility of responding differently, breaking old patterns driven by the shadow or a rigid persona. It's about bringing more consciousness to our relationships, guided by the wisdom of the unconscious as revealed through dreams, symbols, and synchronicity. This is the path towards living more authentically from the center of the self, rather than being dictated by the demands of the ego or the expectations of the persona. And central to this process, these difficult connections often shine a blinding light on our shadow. The shadow, in Carl Jung's psychology, is that hidden, repressed, or undeveloped part of ourselves that we might deny or project onto others. The very traits in someone else that irritate, frustrate, or even enrage us are often aspects of our own shadow that we haven't acknowledged or integrated. These challenging people act as mirrors, forcing the ego to confront parts of the unconscious that it would rather keep hidden away. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's profoundly necessary work for individuation. Without bringing the shadow into the light of consciousness, we remain incomplete, constantly battling external reflections of our internal conflicts. This isn't about excusing difficult behavior in others, but about understanding the psychological function it serves in our own journey towards the self. The intense emotions triggered by these interactions are powerful symbols, pointing directly to areas within our unconscious that need attention. Perhaps it's an unexpressed anger, a denied vulnerability, or a suppressed desire. These connections dismantle the carefully constructed persona, cracking its facade and revealing the raw material underneath, including the shadow. The ego's natural inclination is to defend the persona and push the difficult person away, thereby avoiding the confrontation with the shadow. But the deeper wisdom of the self, guided by the archetypes stirring in the unconscious, orchestrates these encounters precisely because they are needed for growth, for integration, for the expansion beyond the limited ego perspective. Sometimes, understanding the specific archetypes being activated in the dynamic can provide immense clarity. Are we reacting from an abandoned child archetype? Is the other person embodying a destructive aspect of the father or mother archetype? Recognizing these universal patterns helps us detach from the purely personal hurt and see the archetypal forces at play, making the process of individuation less about blame and more about self-discovery. Insights gained from exploring these dynamics can often be illuminated further through dreams, which offer potent symbols from the unconscious, providing clues about the meaning of the difficult connection and the specific shadow material or archetypal energy needing integration. A synchronicity might occur, seemingly unrelated but mirroring the inner struggle or breakthrough related to the difficult relationship, confirming the presence of a larger, meaningful pattern at work. as described by Carl Jung. It's a constant interplay between the conscious and unconscious, with these challenging people serving as catalysts. They push us out of complacency, forcing the ego to expand its understanding of the self and to integrate the previously disowned aspects of the shadow. This painful process of integrating the unconscious is fundamental to individuation, leading us closer to living a life aligned with the totality of who we are, not just the acceptable persona. This alignment isn't a destination easily reached. It demands courage to confront the shadow aspects of ourselves that these difficult relationships inevitably expose. The people who irritate us the most, who trigger our deepest insecurities or anger, are often serving a crucial purpose from the perspective of the unconscious. They hold up a mirror, sometimes harshly, reflecting back parts of our shadow that we've carefully hidden, not only from the world, but even from our conscious ego. The discomfort arises because this challenges the carefully constructed persona we present, shaking the foundations of our familiar identity. When someone consistently pushes our buttons, it's not just about them. It's a synchronicity, a moment of meaningful coincidence guided by the deeper layers of the self, pointing towards something within us that needs attention, integration, and healing. This echoes Carl Jung's understanding that the psyche is a self-regulating system constantly striving for wholeness. The symbols and themes that emerge in our dreams during these challenging periods are often directly related to the difficult relationship dynamics, offering symbolic insights into the specific shadow material being activated or the archetypal patterns at play. For example, a dream might feature a monstrous figure that, upon reflection, embodies the traits we find most unbearable in the challenging person. Traits that are often unacknowledged aspects of our own shadow. Working with these symbols from the unconscious is vital. It helps bypass the ego's defenses and provides a deeper understanding of the emotional turbulence. True individuation requires this brave exploration of the shadow, facilitated by the very people who make us uncomfortable. They are, in essence, alchemical agents, stirring the contents of our unconscious cauldron, forcing us to process emotions and patterns that might otherwise remain dormant beneath the surface of our everyday persona. The pain isn't the goal, but the catalyst. It forces us to question our habitual reactions, to look beyond the surface annoyance and ask, what within me is being activated by this person? What aspect of my shadow are they mirroring? What deeper archetypes are shaping this interaction? These questions, though difficult, are doorways to profound self-knowledge, moving us beyond the limitations of the ego's current understanding towards a fuller realization of the self. The synchronicity of meeting such a person precisely when we are ready, even if we don't feel ready consciously, highlights the intelligence of the unconscious guiding our path toward integration. It's a process of making the unconscious conscious, integrating disowned parts of the shadow into the light of awareness, and ultimately, expanding the capacity of the ego to hold the complexity and totality of the self. These uncomfortable encounters, viewed through a Jungian lens, lose their purely negative connotation and are reframed as essential, even synchronistic opportunities for growth. They provide the necessary friction to wear down the rigid edges of the persona, allowing for a more authentic expression of the deeper self. The wisdom isn't found in avoiding the discomfort, but in leaning into it, trusting that within the challenging dynamic lie the symbols and lessons needed for our next evolutionary step on the path of individuation. This journey into the shadow, guided often by unexpected synchronistic encounters and illuminated by the symbolic language of dreams, is central to realizing the full potential described by Carl Jung. In essence, applying Carl Jung's framework teaches us that seemingly difficult relationships are powerful catalysts guided by the unconscious, offering mirrors to our shadow and helping us navigate the limitations of the ego and the rigidity of the persona, essential steps on the complex journey of individuation towards a more integrated self. Trust the transformative power inherent in these challenging dynamics, for within the friction lie the symbols and lessons needed for growth, often illuminated further by the language of dreams and unexpected synchronicity. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How have challenging interactions in your life served as unexpected guides on your journey of individuation? For deep thinkers ready to navigate the complexities of the unconscious and embrace the lessons hidden in life's unexpected synchronicities, make sure to subscribe and activate notifications for more explorations into Carl Jung's profound wisdom on the ego, self, archetypes, and the symbolic language of dreams.